We'll get you started in the meantime.
All right. If anyone could have told me how hard it would be to get to this point, I don't know that I would have done it.
We both were working so many hours, knowing that you don't have any more to give, but you want to step up.
매일매일 실패합니다. 스타트업의 숙명인 것 같아요.
I'm just not feeling it.
Is it because we're Black female founders with no tech background that we can't launch a business?
I wish this innovation was everywhere.
This is 100% what I believe I should be doing, but how do we actually make it happen?
That cost of failure is so high. It's a lot of responsibility to have.
Ashley Ammons and her mother, Carrie Schrader, mother-daughter team who founded this.
As an entrepreneur, your first job is to find the place and the people that get you, feel you, support you, champion you, and go there and conquer.
It's good to have a community, not just of people that believe in you, but people who are facing the same challenges.
I don't think that I would have made it this far without the feeling of community that I found here.
Women in my age group come up to me and say, "You have inspired me to do what I've always wanted to do."
You put another brick in the wall today, and that's what we're doing.
It has pushed me to be not just a tech innovator, but a guiding light to other people.
I had permission to dream. I don't think I had that.
If I can help just one person, it's going to be worth it. But now at the prospect of doing this for hundreds, thousands, millions of people, there's nothing that can stop us.
And we're live. Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is well. And we're happy to have you here today at the Google for Startups Black Founders Fund for Africa Town Hall, Info Session Town Hall. My name is Folarin Ayegbusi, or Olu Ayegbusi, and I'm the head of startup ecosystem here at Google. And I have Damian and Victoria on the call. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Damilola Diayola. I'm Director of Startup Support at CC Hub.
Hi, my name is Victoria Fabumi. I'm Head of Investment at CC Hub.
Awesome, thank you. Damian and Victoria will be joining us today to take you through everything you need to know about the Google for Startups Black Founders Fund for Africa 2. This is actually the second time we're running this. We ran this for the first time last year with a $3 million commitment, and we supported 50 startups. With the $3 million, we saw the 50 startups raise over $73 million, create over 500 jobs, and increase their monthly recurring revenue by over $50,000. So what exactly is the Black Founders Fund for Africa? This is, this year, it's a $4 million fund targeting 60 startups to provide funding, technical and business support to 60 early stage startups across the African continent. Just to clarify, by the way, it's a non-dilutive fund, meaning that we're not here to take any equity from your startups. It's essentially free money that we're giving to you. So your investors have nothing to worry about in terms of dilution. In addition to the $4 million that we're giving to our startups, there's also going to be up to $200,000 in Google Cloud credits to each selected company to help you onboard to the Google Cloud platform as you scale your business. In addition to that, there's also access to training from our network of mentors and Google developer experts. A lot of times people ask about the criteria for the Black Founders Fund, especially here it's based on the name, or similarly based on people that have applied for the Accelerate to Africa program. So I think before we go deeper into it, the first thing I'd say is that if you're based in Africa, working on the African continent, you're able to scale globally, you run a startup that has diverse founders with at least one Black founder, you're a tech startup, tech-driven, not tech-enabled, or not just tech-enabled, there's some compatibility with Google products, and you're either currently using, interested, or have the capabilities to use multiple Google products, then you're right for the fund, the Black Founders Fund. We have Damian, as they said, Damian and Victoria are from Co-Creation Hub, and they are one of our key partners, and they'll be working towards to disburse the funding later on this year and review applications. I think what we'd have next is a little walkthrough of the application form. Over to you, Dami.
Thank you very much, Polari, and thanks everyone for joining in. What we'll show you now is the application form. I hope that you've looked at it, or you're on the link at the very least, so that if you have specific questions you can ask. I'll walk through each questions quickly and then focus a bit on some questions that perhaps questions are likely to come out of them. And then if you have any questions at any point, please use the chat to type in your questions. And once it's time for the Q&A, we'll then be able to take those questions. Okay. So let's kick off. 1 second, I'll share my screen shortly. Okay. Please confirm when you can see it. Polari, can you see my screen? Yes, okay, that's good. All right, so this is the page, and if you don't have the link yet, we'll paste it in the chat shortly, but you would have seen it on the banners and everything. Polari has run through this particular description, but please, of course, look at it again. Once again, you can look at it now. If you have any questions, you can bring it up. First thing here is to put in your email address, and then click on continue. And this is really the application form, 1 page, and then you submit application. So very quickly, you have about you, where is your startup based, where does your business primarily operate from, and where is it headquartered? Of course, we know that some organizations are headquartered, legally registered in other places, separate from where they are primarily operating from. So this is why this is there and this is separated. For those of you that it affects or relates to, you'll understand. What best describes you as a person, you'll put this here. In 100 words, summarize why you're applying to the fund. Of course, this is also straightforward. And have you been recommended to the program by anyone? If so, state whom/which organization. Just judging from last year, we had quite a number of people put different things. Please be sure that that organization or that person has recommended you. Doesn't really tell well if you're just adding names or organizations, because we would typically double check. So please be sure that whoever you're putting here or the organization you put in here has actually recommended you. And then we move on to about your startup. So what's the startup name, your website, company overview of what your company does. What are your company's top 3 OKRs? If this is the first time you're hearing about OKRs, please feel free to visit this link and then check it out, and you'll be able to answer this question. OKRs are beneficial to you as an organization even throughout, so you won't be learning it just for this application, don't worry, but you can check it out and then answer this question appropriately. Very important that you do that if you're not very familiar with OKRs. Provide a link to your startup pitch deck. Please do this. So it could either be, you can use a Google Drive link or any other links that you have, but make sure that it's not private. No one will be requesting access to it that way. And if anybody has to, then that might be long, and it might affect you because we won't be able to review the application. So please make sure the link is public. Please provide a short video up to 3 minutes explaining why your startup should be selected for the Black Founders Fund. Same, this would be a link as well. Make sure it's public, it's not private, so that the people reviewing can access it. Please, please, please. We say this all the time, but I think people tend to forget because we still find a lot of private links. And then we move from there to about your product or service. Hopefully, I'm not too fast. You all are still following me. Okay, thanks. Okay, good. Feel free to drop your questions on the chat if you have one, and we'll be able to take all the questions. So please provide a description of your product or service. What does your product do, or what service are you offering? What problem or need is your company providing a solution for? As much as possible, be very clear. We would say be detailed, but like go straight to the point, but make sure someone who is new to your business will understand it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you give us like a lengthy essay, but it will be short, it'll be sweet, it'll be direct, and we would be able to get it. It's important that you don't overly assume that, yeah, we know your organization. A number of the people that might be reviewing the applications may or may not have heard of you before. So very important that you give us enough context to understand what your product does, what your service does, and what your service offering is, and what problem you are solving for. Which industry do you operate in? Straightforward as well. What's your business model? Is it B2B? Is it B2C or B2B2C? What is your startup's main technology? Also important that you answer this as well. And you can be as detailed because it could be a stack of different things. And if it is, then please feel free to write that there as well. And we'll be able to relate to it and then see it. What stage is your products or service at? Idea, prototype, launch, retraction. Customers also pretty straightforward, and also ask that you respond to this as well honestly, because there are some questions there that we'll be able to double check against this. Important to know that for this particular project, you need to have launched for the fund. You need to have already launched your product in the market. So that's something to be mindful of. And then if you're focused on scaling, which new countries and markets do you plan to target as you scale? So this is also a straightforward question. If you are in the idea or prototype or stage, if you had filled that in and you still wanted to fill the application, then you can put the launch date. If you've already launched, also put the date when your company launched. So when you launched operations. Product or service demo. This is a link to a demo of your product. Sorry, please give me a second. Sorry, give me a
Sorry about that, everyone. Dan will be back with us shortly.
Yes, I'm here. Sorry. Get a notification. This is here. And then this is a link to your demo. So please put it there. If it's possible that it's a demo that we can easily access, fine. If it needs that is better. If it needs, or say like a walkthrough, so a complete walkthrough video of how your product works, that would be great. But if it's something we have to experience and we need username and passwords, please input your username and passwords here. That would be very helpful. So don't just put the link to the demo and we go in there and then nobody can log in to actually test it out. Thank you. What countries and markets are you targeting? Also very important that you include that there as well. And then when we move on to fundraising and traction, how much funding have you raised? Please, just for it to be seamless throughout, I think leave it in USD. So if you're in any other country and you've raised money in other amounts, other currencies, please convert to USD and then put the USD amount here. So you would see in the description that we ask that you please provide the figure in USD. I know this has like options, but let's just stick to USD. Has your startup raised funding from any of the following sources? So please check all the sources that you've raised money from. And then who are your investors? Please give us their names or the names of the organizations or funds that you've raised money from. And then we have your traction. So over the last 12 months, or since inception, if it's less than 12 months, what are the key metrics and how far have you gone? So this will be different for everyone, but one that probably is the same throughout is number of customers that you've had. So please put that there. If you then have specific key metrics that are tied to your own company, please include that as well. And then your monthly revenue also as well in USD. Please use that. Leave the currency in USD and just put the amount. If you're earning in other currencies, convert to USD. Now, a very important one is also the team. And then please put your name as well as the co-founders' names. Also your emails, your LinkedIn profiles as well. It would be helpful for all of you to make sure your LinkedIn is updated. We've had people share LinkedIn profiles and you go on there, and the essence of checking the LinkedIn, even sometimes you don't even find that the person is within the company, like they've not updated their LinkedIn profile to that point where they are co-founding with you or they're co-founding the organization with you. So please, one thing you should let your co-founders know, key team members that you'll be putting here, I'll ask them to please update their LinkedIn profiles. And then if there's anything else you'd like us to know about you and your co-founders' experience, think about, why are you the best fit for this? If there's some things that are not captured in LinkedIn, like their profile, the work they've done, please put that there. It's very important that we're able to tell that, your team is the best to execute this, because to be honest, you will get companies in the same field doing almost the same thing. So sometimes what differentiates is the strength of the team. And so if you're weak on this, that could be the reason why, you don't get the fund, for example. So if you put in the LinkedIn profiles, they've updated it here, you can tell us, what's the experience of you all working together, why are you guys the best people to be able to execute or continue to execute on what you're working on. If there are extra profile links or bios that, would be helpful to put in, please feel free to put it in here as well. Anything that can give us context about your team would be helpful. How many people does your startup currently employ? Very direct. How many women does your startup currently employ? Please also fill that question, also very important. And then you have, and to what extent do you guys, my startup will believe in the importance of building inclusive teams? So these are very direct questions that you can also answer. Which of the following Google products, if any, does your startup currently use? So just tick as it applies to you. And then again, for the grant specifically, these are questions that I'm sure you all can relate to. If selected for the fund, how will this help your startup to grow? Please be very direct, help us to understand it, especially when you've answered questions around what your product offering is, what problem you're trying to solve. Here, you need to tell us exactly how will this fund lead to the growth of your startup, anything from expansion to team to whatever it is, just convince the person that'll be reviewing. If selected for the Black Founders Fund, how will the Google Ad credits help your startup grow? Same with the Google Cloud credits as well. And this question, how can you contribute to the success of other startups in your cohort? Whatever, programs that, Google does, there's always that importance for collaboration between cohort members. And this is what it speaks to. And we want to be able to know how, you're not just going to work as, okay, it's just my startup and I'm in this program, I'll just be on my own and mind my own business and do, but how would you work well with other cohort members? How would you collaborate? How would what you're doing even help other cohort members? It's always good to find that other cohort members may be customers of you eventually, or they might use your service to even improve their own, companies, different things. So think creatively around it. And then what challenges or opportunities are you hoping to address through this program? So very related to how will the cash help your startup grow? And this one sort of helps pick also the exact points or exact areas. So under tech, under product, design, people, growth. In addition to what you have stated here, you can also then as well specify those key areas that, okay, this is where I have challenges. It would also help the Google team in maybe other areas that they can also support, as well as the CC Hub team. So responses to these next set of questions will not have impact on your application, and they are also completely optional. So you can feel free to answer them or not. So which statement best reflects your overall opinion towards Google for Startups? To what extent do you agree to this particular statement? To what extent do you also agree that Google for Startups is a diverse and inclusive environment? So please feel free to fill that as well. But also remember, it doesn't have any impact on your application. So as honest as possible would be very highly appreciated. And the rest are just check boxes. Of course, very importantly, from a data point of view, the consent to fill in the application. And of course, we are collecting email addresses. Also, you need to check that consent as well. There are about 4 check boxes there, and then you submit. So pretty straightforward, I think. But if there are any questions, of course, we're here to answer them. Polari, that's all from my end. I will stop sharing now.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Dami. Thank you for being so thorough and going through each of the questions. And something to also highlight is that it's really important for you to separate fluff from actual depth in your responses to each of the questions, right? Try to not use any buzzwords or to limit the amount of buzzwords you use and go into the detail as you explain what exactly your product or services or your tech is or who you are as founders in these questions, right? Again, as Dami said, we see last time we got almost 3,000 applications. So we saw any and every kind of business, right? So just imagine there's going to be 10, 50, 100 more similar businesses that are applying for the fund. So please note that and note to, at every point, distinguish yourself through this application form. Okay, time for questions. The call mentions early stage startups. What defines an early stage startup or early stage startups? Dami?
Yes, for this one, I would say, like we said before, not idea stage, definitely. You should have already launched a product in the market. And you may have raised some funding. Of course, we asked questions around that, but not a lot where, of course, 100,000 is not, that much. We will be questioning, how would 100,000 be beneficial or really make a change in your company. So we're looking at pre-seed, seed stage companies as well. Polari can add to that, but you should have already launched the product and maybe you are in that pre-seed, seed stage as well.
It's essentially that. Thanks, Dami. So we're not looking for those that have raised the hundreds of millions, right? So the tens of millions. We understand that this might merely be a drop in the ocean for them, but for those that, again, might not necessarily have hit product market fit, but at least you've launched, right? And you've raised some funding, or a lot of times we get questions about people that have only bootstrapped up until now. That is also fine. Please include that. And as Dami said, there's an option for that, for self-finance up until now. So it's just, again, you've launched your product or your service, and you're ready to take it to scale and beyond the stage that you are now, and maybe pre-seed seed stage of a startup.
Yeah. And if you're even fundraising at the moment, that's still fine. It doesn't take away from it. We've had people also in the process of fundraising apply, and this really helped them, which is good.
Next question.
There is a question around the OKRs. So the question in the application says, what are your company's top 3 OKRs? It says in 2021. I think that should be 2022. So if apologies for that, and we would make that correction. So it should be your OKRs, your top 3 for this year. Polari, that's correct, right?
Yes, correct. Thank you. I think your question popped up on the screen just now. It's going to come back. We are legally registered in Namibia and South Africa. I saw Namibia is not listed as one of the recommended countries to apply. Should we apply as our startup, South Africa? Yes, please still apply. What we've done is highlight the core countries or most priority of countries, but that shouldn't deter you from applying for the program. The 2 things I'd say on that are that, again, you have a South African entity, so please, that in itself is a priority country. But also, we're looking for the strongest of startups from across the continent. So your country doesn't make you ineligible, right? Please still apply. As a strong company or a strong startup, you'll be considered. You may be considered for the fund.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, exactly what Polari said. We had this question last time, and I know that people are always like, should I still apply? Please apply. As long as you're an African startup and you're doing great work, please apply.
Inclusive of Francophone Africa as well.
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Thanks, Victoria. Next question. It's coming up. How do we demo a hardware product? A demo video?
Yes, a video will be good in that sense. Yeah. Thanks. There's a question that I think came in whilst we are waiting for some to pop up on the screen. Okay, there's a question. Can I apply even though we haven't launched and are launching at the end of June? These are like I would say that it will be hard. If I'm being honest, it will be hard. Like you heard, we got up to 3,000 applications, and a bulk of this would be people that have already launched. But if you want to try, you can still launch. Maybe you're doing something just super amazing. I don't know. I don't want to discourage you, but ideally this would be for people that have already launched a product in the market. Yeah, I'm looking for that. Okay.
And just on the demo video, you also want to be mindful in terms of the link you're sharing. I think one of the challenges we had last time with demo videos was we didn't get access to some of the links, and so we couldn't watch the demo videos. So I'm just putting that out there.
Any link that you're using, any link needs to be open and public, please, not private. Test it. You know, the best thing to do is take the link and test it in an incognito tab. That's how, because sometimes it's just an honest mistake. So take the link that you think is open, test it in an incognito tab. If it doesn't open there, then there's still something wrong. That's how to do it, because we all make these mistakes quite easily. Someone says we are not understanding well about demo. If it's learning platform, which info do you need? So a demo is simply, so you've said this is your product. We want to experience the product as well. That's what we're asking about a demo. So it's either you do like you give us like, some people have test accounts. So you give us the link to the demo platform or the link to your platform and a test account, which is where I said, if you provide the link and the only way to access your demo is, experiencing it ourselves, then please put the test username and test password. However, there are some people that can do a video of how their product actually works, like do a screen, what they call like a screen video, yes, and they take us step by step. This is how you log in, this is how the product works, this is how the features are. Whichever way you go, the most important thing is that you provide us with a link to experience your products. That's what it is. I hope we've been able to answer that question.
And just to add to that as well, the application form, so text can only say so much about your product, right, or your platform. So videos like this is essentially the reason for sharing a video or screen capture of your platform or login credentials for a test account. Next question. What type of organizations or people can make referrals? Okay.
Yeah.
It's gonna be that. Okay. Sure, I can take it. So the question was, what kind of people or organizations can make referrals? So we essentially accept referrals from 3 people. So from our mentor pool, from our pool of mentors, seasoned mentors that have gone through either the Accelerate Africa program, the previous cohorts of the Black Founders Fund, or from our partner network. If you have access, what we can do is maybe, I was going to say a long list of all of them. Some of our partners, right, include, maybe I can just do that, Co-Creation Hub, for example, Co-Creation Hub, Outbox, MEST, which is Meltwater, Greenhouse Capital, Grindstone, which is Knife Capital in South Africa, Josie Hub, iSpace, and iHub, which is also CC Hub. So if you have access to them, please reach out to them to refer you as well for the Black Founders Fund for Africa.
Yeah, it's possible as well for learning that some of the partners, even outside of Africa, if you have, been in any of their programs as well, you probably could also get a referral from them as long as they're a GFS partner, being a GFS mentor. These are the people that can make referrals. And I think if you go to the startups.google.com link, you might be able to see the list, right?
Yes, yes. How does your previous fundraising affect eligibility?
It doesn't. The only way it would affect is, of course, like what we were saying earlier, if you've raised like hundreds of millions of dollars, the question would be, why do you need, this amount? So we had said before that if you were in that seed, pre-seed, of course, this might differ in different countries, but if you're in that early stage, whether you're even currently raising or you've raised some amount of money or you bootstrap, then that's okay. But if you're already like way, growth, maybe Series B, Series C, and all of that, and you have raised a whole lot of money, hundreds of millions, then you may not need this amount of money. So that would be the answer to that. But if you launch the product, raise seed funding and Series A funding, but the funding one would support scale up / entry into new markets.
Then please apply.
Yeah, I would say please apply. Yeah. That's right. Just working with a lot of Google products, technologies have impact in your application. Valari, over to you.
So thanks for the question, Mohammed. I think so. There's two answers. I have two things to say there. The first thing is that, again, we highlighted that what we look for is interest, compatibility, right, or current usage of one or two or multiple Google products, right? To just for the fit for the fund itself. But we've also seen, for example, we've seen people take every single box there just to make it seem like, to appear like they use every single Google product, right? The thing about that is Google as a company has so many products that it's almost hard to not use one of them. This does not necessarily affect your eligibility, right, by not using one or multiple of them at the moment. But if you can show that there's a genuine interest to use them later on, or you're currently, again, just about to scale with them, then please go ahead and let us know. I wouldn't say the more products you use, the better for your application. There's many more sides to the application form that we review that determine if you'd make the selected 60. What I'd also say is that, again, and not using them wouldn't necessarily reduce your score, compared to the other applicants for the program. Next question. My company's product is still in pre-market stage. Can I still apply or rather wait?
We've answered this question.
Yeah.
We've answered that question multiple times. So
participated in several international competitions, including Seed Stars. They often disregard us due to population launch.
Yeah.
Is population one of the criteria?
Population size, probably. I can see my Namibian and Botswana. Yeah, Falana, I don't know if you want to take that, but it doesn't matter to us. Yeah, there's no criteria around population size of your country. It's really about what you're building. Yeah. And of course, yeah, what you're building and who it affects at the end of the day. There was another question, I think, on this one. So I would say this is a tricky one. I would say make a video, right? You imagine that would receive a lot of applications. In the last one, during the review, we did download, just for our decision to experience it. But don't leave when you're applying for stuff like this, don't leave it to the hands of the reviewer to do something that is critical to them appreciating your products, right? So I would advise, even in this application or any application, you do the demo video. And of course, if the reviewer then wants to, they will go and download the app in addition to seeing what your application is about. That would be the best way to go about it.
Something to note as well on that point is that when you do your demo, you're more likely to present your app in a better light than if you left us to review the platform and attempt to critique every single thing of it. So please, again, a demo would definitely help.
Yeah. Okay, maximum length of a video if used. I would say keep it to 2 to 3 minutes, not more than 3 minutes, right? Yeah, 2 to 3 minutes. That's good. So there is a link. So where you're supposed to put the link to your demo, right? You can put it there in bracket, the username and the password. Now, if the application doesn't take that because that's not a link, you can take that username and password and put it where you are describing your solution. Just find somewhere to put in one of the paragraphs to put that this is how to experience your solution. So my first option would be where we ask for your demo a link to your demo. I don't think we made it a link. But if you put the link there and you put in bracket, this is the username and the password. If it goes, that's fine. If it doesn't go, take the username and the password and then put it under where you are describing the solution. That will work.
Short answer to this is no. It's impossible to edit your application after sending. Okay, we had a similar question to this last year. So the difference between tech-driven and tech-enabled, and the example we used was e-commerce platforms. So if you're building an e-commerce platform, you're able to apply. That is more of tech-driven. But if you have a product that is hosted on an existing e-commerce platform, that is tech-enabled, right? So that's the biggest of differences between the tech-driven and the tech-enabled in this instance.
And again, the question was around, you mentioned this one is applicable to tech-driven as opposed to tech-enabled. Could you please expand on this and explain clearly what businesses are eligible? So that's what Folarin was responding to. Tech has to be core of your product delivery and service. Are we allowed to use mobile phones for the 3-minute videos? Yes, please. You don't need anything professional. Thanks for that question. You don't need to hire any professional or anything. Just a simple video, screen recorded, your phone. Yeah, that works. As long as we can see you and hear you clearly, that's good.
Yes.
Like I mentioned, if you can only take the link, then please put the credentials maybe where you are explaining your solution. That's also fine. We'll look out for it. Let all the reviewers know, and we'll look out for it. It might be hard to, we've already started receiving applications, so hard to go back and edit the form. It's already passed through the review process for the application form. So just make do. Thank you.
Are pre-revenue startups eligible to apply? I think we've answered this multiple times. Actually, no, sorry, this is different.
This is different, yeah. So you've launched, but you're pre-revenue. Folarin, do you want to?
What I can say is, so yes, you can still apply. Essentially, what we look for is proof of concept. When we say you should have launched, you should have, I guess, raised a little funding or something. There should be something to prove, right, the concept, to prove that this is a credible product, right, that is in the market. So we understand, again, some people don't hit revenue, don't even generate any revenue for the first couple of months, right, while they're still doing their business development and so on and so forth. But again, I guess it makes it even more reason why you should be applying for this to support you before you start to generate revenue rather. So again, please apply. You are eligible to apply. What you might have to do is double down on showing why your product is a strong product, right? And why you aren't generating revenue yet. Again, because we're going to see 10, 50, 100 startups that are very likely doing the same thing.
Okay. Any more questions?
I think I can call up some questions from last year as well. Since I applied, so one question from last year is, since I applied to the program, my startup has significantly evolved. Can I reapply? So it's a very short application window. Applications for this end on the 31st of May, midnight of the 31st of May, and that's GMT. If you feel like your startup has evolved within this short period, please go on and refill the application form and submit it again, right? Every little helps. Every additional information will always help your case.
Someone asked what selection criteria would this be based on? In order to be selected, what are the key points? So this you would find on the page, on the application page, where you can get a lot more information. I think we're trying to paste the link there, and it might be better to go there and then look at that in detail as well.
So you'll find the link in chat. in the chat.
In the chat, we've just pasted it there, but it's open to startups led by founders who self-employ as Black and are based in Africa. Your product is in markets, you're fundraising, ready to fundraise. This grant would help your startup or will grow, you would take your startup to the next level, whatever that is, how you define that. But that's who's eligible for this. And of course, like we mentioned, tech has to be core to the product, the delivery of your product or service. So we're looking for tech-driven or tech-enabled. I think those are the things that we've mentioned. But if you go on the page, you'd see, all that information. Okay. Falarin, when are the companies selected going to be announced, and when are the funds going to be dispersed?
Okay, thanks for the question. So the applications and selection process will run now and in June, this May and June, and we'll announce the selected applications or candidates or startups in July, in the second week of July. And shortly after, we start the disbursement process. We'll engage with you for some due diligence, and you have to begin the disbursement process. It will come in 2 tranches, but for those selected, they'll get more information on that.
Yeah. So climate tech solutions have an edge. If you're so NGOs, no, I think that's the straight answer. If you're not making non-profit organization, this is not the, I think Google has other, competitions or projects or applications around that. This is for for-profit organizations. So if you're for-profit and you're creating an impact, please apply. Doesn't matter which sector that you're in. If you look at that sector, the sector bid on the form is even open-ended. There's no list because, it could be diverse. So please apply as long as you're for-profit. How often is this fund launched, in case I'd like to apply the next time? Laura.
Well, we had the fund last year. We're having the fund again this year. I'm unable to share whether or not we're going to have one next year. Fingers crossed, knock on everything. If you can apply this year, that would be great. But again, I think generally Google is committed to supporting startups across the African continent through, whether it's the Google for Startups Accelerate Africa program, this current Black Founders Fund for Africa, and many other initiatives. So even if there's no Google for Startups Black Founders Fund for Africa next year, there very likely will be many other initiatives that we'd have for African startups. So the different stages of selection. So now we have this long form. It's not so long actually compared to the accelerator form. We have this long form for you to fill. After this, you'd be invited. So those that are shortlisted from this form may be invited to fill another form, just for some more details. We'd go through some due diligence, and then we'd have interviews, right? After the interviews, we'll go through what we call a selection committee and an advisory board. And the top 60 will then emerge from this very long process. It's all internal, so the external part for you will just be for you to fill the forms.
So this person is saying one of the questions is, how would the Google Ad credits help your startups grow? That's one of the questions on the application form. Does this mean that part of the highlights for the program will be Google Ads credits? Yes, that's correct. If so, I think it's asking how much credits will be given to the companies.
Okay. So the summary of that is, last year we gave up to $120,000 in ads grants and ads credits to all startups that are participating on the program. This year we're looking to pivot, so we're actually offering a larger amount in Google Cloud credits this year, from $100,000 last year to $200,000 this year. With regard to that question, I'd say it's okay for you to skip, right? Since it's not necessarily applicable this time, we will not be disbursing ads credits or the ad grants this year.
Okay. So for the ad credits, you can skip that question. Let me just double check that we can skip it.
I think you probably fill with NA. Yeah, just a little.
Okay, NA. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So for that ad credit question, you can just put NA and then. For a company that is legally registered in both US and Nigeria with one founder in each country, do we qualify for this program? Yes, I would say. Are you is there an African star?
So perhaps I can help with this. If the core of your business is here in Nigeria, so you're incorporated in the US, but the core of your business is in Nigeria or across Africa, and that's the market you're pursuing, then perhaps we would look at the application. It will be if you're legally registered in the US and then your addressable market is in the US, then that might be a problem. So as long as that is just from a legal perspective, the core of your market or your users are here in Nigeria, then you should.
That's fine. And of course, like one of the founders, at least one, is also African. That's important as well. Short answer is yes, sir. Yeah. Creative tech startups also eligible? Short answer is yes. Next question is the form says recommended by. What if no one recommended you? Will it count against you? No, it won't. We promise it won't.
Just to also say that I know after the call, some people are going to put our names that we recommended or referred them. We'll be cross-checking through the list. So please, if we did not refer you, please don't put our names. Thanks.
But please note that it won't affect you in any way. You're not recommended by anyone else. Any other questions? As a pre-revenue company, would projections play in our favor during the DD? Okay, with projections of July. I would say apply if that's the question. If it's about due diligence, then maybe wait till then for the questions that will be asked during due diligence. I think we've answered the question around should a pre-revenue company that has already launched apply, and that question is, the answer to that is yes. Just give us enough information as to the strength of your product and the impact that you've made, since revenue is not one of them. And then anything around DD, you get what will be requested of you from DD, due diligence. What are you looking to see in the video from the founders? Thanks for the question. And if anyone wants to add to that, it'll be fine. But it's really about, why are you building this product? What's your vision for it? Why do you want to, why are you applying for the grant as well? And we want to, if possible, like if there are 2-3 founders, just hear each one of them also speak towards the product and the company that you all are building. It would be great. I don't know, Folarin, if there's anything you want to add.
So it's exactly that. Show us life, right? Show us passion. I know it's hard to fake passion. You can type out and act like you're amazing, but it's hard to fake passion in person. So show us that in your video. Tell us who you are as founders, why you are founders of your startup, what made you, found the business or the startup you're in. Tell us about the startup as well, and just give us that wow factor, right, to the videos. Remember, I keep iterating or reiterating that we're going to see a couple thousand applications for this, so any opportunity to stand out should be taken advantage of and should be leveraged. So a video is one opportunity to do that, right? Wow us with your video. Tell us who you are and why you're doing it. Show us the passion for it, for what you're building.
Awesome. Okay. Let me see if there are any other questions. Okay. Looks like there are no other questions. Someone had asked if this would be available, the recording. I believe even the last one was available up until recently. So you can always come back to this link and watch this again. So please feel free. And then let me see if we've missed any question. No. Yeah, I think we've answered everything.
One question, okay.
Okay, I have submitted my form but didn't submit a demo. But I made a strong application for my product whose revenue is quite impressive. Would that be an issue or should I reapply? I mean, if You could. It's up to you. I think it's up to you. If you want, you could just do the application again and add the link. It won't count against you if you're, reapplying because there's now new information. We'll just take the latest information. We did that last year as well. So, I mean, if you feel what you have is strong enough, it's okay. If you feel like I need to get in my demo link in there because anything can happen, please feel free. Chiche, it's up to you. Thank you. No, will the ongoing CEDA program interviews have an impact on the application? No, it won't. These are two separate things and two separate projects. Yes, thank you.
There's one question I think we missed. Are solo founders allowed to apply?
Yes, solo founders, yes. There's nothing against solo founders. Yeah. Please feel free to apply.
Okay.
Okay. All right. I think we're good. And we've answered as much questions, all the questions that have come to us. If there are any other questions, I'm not sure where you can send them to. Is there somewhere they can send it to for Larry? If there are any questions, you can also send to startups. Okay. You can send to, okay, fine. So you can send to startups@cchubnigeria.com. Yeah, they'll put it in the chat. Startups@cchubnigeria.com, and we'll be happy to answer you.
Great. Do you want to say something, Dami? Sorry.
No, just saying that we put in the link, the email. If you have any questions following this, you can ask us.
Awesome. Okay, we've come to the end of this. Thanks so much, Dami. Thanks so much, Victoria. Really appreciate your time and the support and the hard work you're putting into this program. We really appreciate it. Again, we saw so many amazing applications last year. We selected so many amazing startups as well, and we've seen them grow. The impact is it's something, right? It's a lot, actually, and we're very happy to support even more startups this year. So if you're feeling anxious and you feel like you're not ready, you're too early or anything, please go on and still apply, right? Just go on and apply. Put your best foot forward. Apply. Give us the best of videos. Give us the best of written applications, and you never know, right? It's even if it's 50. Last time was 50 out of almost 3,000 applications. That's a 1 in 60 chance. That 1 in 60 could be you. It's again, apply for the Go for Startups Black Founders Fund for Africa program. Please apply. And thank you so much for taking your time as well. Take your time out today to listen to this town hall. We know that you have to also run your businesses, but you took time to listen to this. So we also appreciate you being here. Thanks, and we're looking forward to receiving your applications. Any last words?
Thank you to Larry. Thank you, Google.